They're talking about the NFL from a different perspective. Game recaps, stats, big plays, predictions, and much more. You're listening to the B&E podcast with Ed Donaldson and Brandon Simpson.
NFC North, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we'll be talking about today. Welcome to the Breaking and Entering podcast presented by Premium. All 40 teams, believe it or not, finished with a 500 or above record. Well, above 500 because there's odd number of games in the season, of course. Uh, Despite some of the struggles last year by the Vikings and the Lions early on, and of course the Packers losing Micah Parsons for the back half of the season, they went down a tough tunnel there at the end of the year. And of course, the Chicago Bears won the NFC North for the first time in a while. He's Ed. I'm Brandon. Ed, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Yeah, I'm not too fond of this division of NFC North. I don't know if a lot of people remember NFC East played the NFC North last year. The whole NFC North beat the Commanders, so not too fond going over the division. But yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'll talk about it more when we get into each team. Yeah, let's start this opening drive, shall we, everybody? Falcons edge rusher Jalen Walker will miss the season with an ACL injury. Fortunately, this round, hope he's able to recover from that. Falcons running back was the highest paid running back to sign the contract. Signed a 3-year deal worth $75 million. The Bears have also awarded right tackle Darnell Wright with a 4-year extension. The Ravens wide receiver Zay Flower received a 4-year, $140 million extension. Stephon Diggs is joining the Commanders on a 1-year deal. And the new highest paid running back, Jahmyr Gibbs, he reportedly signed a 3-year, $67.5 million deal. The contract is worth $75.75 million with incentives included. And he's got $51.5 million guaranteed. Also, Commanders cornerback Kilo Witherspoon has announced his retirement. Real quick before we get to the NFC North preview, I'm really happy that the Commanders signed Stephon Diggs. I was wondering to myself, like, hey, that's a good receiver that's out on the market. Stay away from Brandon Ayuk, please. But Stephon Diggs, I'm glad we brought him in. Honestly, I think he's a low risk, high reward type guy. I know, off the field stuff he's got going on, court cases and things of that nature. But on the field, even though people are saying, because I was Stephen A. Smith, he was talking about a little bit yesterday, but a lot of people are saying, oh, he's 33 years old. He tore his ACL. He tore his ACL in 2024 with the Texans. If anybody remembers, he did play for the Patriots last year. He came off 1,000 yards, so I don't think he's going to jump off that high of a cliff. We don't need him to be the number one. We still got Terry. I think Terry and Stephon Diggs, two veteran receivers, proven receivers. Both of these guys can get it done out there. So this is another good target for Jaden Daniels and our offense. And that was one of the question marks coming in for me is how's this wide receiver core going to do? I think signing Stephon Diggs shores it up even more. It gives Antonio Williams, our receiver we drafted out of Clemson this year, opportunity to grow. And man, hell, he could come out the gate too and come out there and do his thing. But Diggs is definitely a good signing. That's all I wanted to say about that. And salute to the running backs. I'm sorry, real quick. Salute to the running backs. Both of those guys get money. I know in years past, the running back was kind of devalued. I think people are realizing again that the running backs, you need a good quality running back if you want to win in this league and get to the big game and win the big game too. You got any thoughts?
Yeah, real quick. One, it was a really good week for these guys in the NFL. A handful of them got paid big money. Like you mentioned, one guy was at the top of the market. Then Jahmyr Gibbs came in and overtook, number one running back in the league financially. Uh, Shout out to all those guys, their families, their agents, all those people that are going to benefit from those deals. And quick question: are you more excited about Stephon Diggs at this point heading into this year than you were, or were you more excited about Debo? Because I know you're a big Debo fan last year. Which one at this point, as far as the signing, right after the signing, which one were you more excited uh,
I
at?
think honestly, I was more excited with Debo just because the year we came off Jaden Daniels' rookie year going into his second season. I expected Debo to come in, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this offense is going to be even more explosive with Debo. You know, I'm a huge Debo Samuel fan, so I was more excited with Debo just because coming off that first season for Jaden Daniels, my expectations were like, okay, this dude is a real deal. I'm talking about Jaden. He's going to lead us to perennial playoffs, even deep in the playoffs. So I was more excited about that signing. But my level of excitement for the big sign is really high too. So yeah, but I guess to say to answer that question, I was more excited for Debo.
Okay.
And then also real quick, we talked about the running back Bijan. Jonathan Taylor, he recently signed a new deal too. So these running backs
Yeah.
are rightfully getting paid, everybody. And it's good to see.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Let's get to this NFC North now. We're gonna talk about the Vikings first. I mentioned the whole NFC North beat the Commanders last year. Well, the Vikings beat the hell out of the Commanders last year, 31-0. They shut us out week 14 last year. Jaden Daniels got hurt in that game too. Um, Luckily, I don't know about luckily, but we played them again this year. The Commanders do December 27th, late in the season. So hopefully we get some get back into that game, but we'll see. Now on to the Vikings. They're bringing in Kyler Murray. Carson Wentz also on a 1-year deal with them. So they trying to do everything they can. I mean, there's a little bit of quarterback competition between Kyler and JJ McCarthy, but I think the consensus is Kyler will probably win that battle. But just in case he gets hurt, because Kyler does have an injury history. You got JJ McCarthy in the background, you got Carson Wentz in the background. So the Vikings are trying to do whatever they can to make sure they shore up this quarterback position. Kyler Murray, can he get the job done? We see his ceiling, MVP type of player, but we also see the lows, we see the injuries, we see the inconsistency. Even with the Cardinals last year, I was thinking, oh man, him and Marvin Harrison are going to do big things. His connection with Trey McBride, the tight end, was really good, but he didn't really produce the way I thought he would with Marvin Harrison. Jacoby Brissett came in after Kyler got hurt, or they shut him down, and he was more consistent with that. So that was kind of an
Yeah.
eye there. The GM, he got let go, Kwesi Odofo Mensa. I think they were thinking of that decision. They saw Sam Darnold win the Super Bowl, and they was like, "Damn, we should have kept this dude." I mean, I know Justin Jefferson was like, "Wow, look at that. We let a good quarterback out the door, and now I got this clown." I'm sorry, JJ. You went to Michigan. I'm not gonna call you a clown. We got JJ McCarthy in here, and he throwing me ducks. I can't do what I need to do. So Kwesi, he got let out the door. Rob Brzezinski, he's helping out with that role now. So we'll see in the future how the Vikings gets formed and everything of that nature. Let's get up to the defensive side of the ball. Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, blitzing the hell out of people, exotic blitzes. People coming from everywhere. You think a ref might be on the side of the field. It's actually a damn player who was in the ref jersey. He took his jersey off, and now he got a Vikings jersey on. Now he coming at your ass. You gotta be careful with this Vikings defense, man. Their first 3 picks were defensive players. You got Caleb Banks, D lineman out of Florida, Jake Golday, linebacker out of Cincinnati, and then Dominique Orange, another D lineman out of Iowa State. They got some shoes to fill. Jonathan Allen, he's with Cincinnati now, and then Javon Hargrave, he's over with the Packers. So Caleb Banks and Dominique Orange, I think those two will see a little bit more. We'll probably see the linebacker Jake as well, but I'm banking on Caleb Banks and Dominique to get immediate playing time just to fill a void that those two veterans left with Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave. So I'm still betting on the Vikings to have a solid defensive unit. I'm looking at Dallas Turner also. They drafted him a year or two ago. He had 8 sacks last season. I'm expecting him to step up. Only concern I kind of have is Harrison Smith, veteran safety, huge veteran in the league. I think played about 16 years. Right now, he's not with the team. They released him like post March. There's a chance he could sign back, but will that be a void or will that be a hole that left in that secondary for the Vikings? Because I mean, he was still producing, in my opinion, at top level.
Yep.
Hell, against the Commanders, he looked like he could still play. So we'll see how that goes. But my main question for the Vikings is Kyler Murray. I'm expecting him to start. So what are we going to get with him? I'm expecting him and Justin Jefferson to, have a good connection, good chemistry. But you never know. Will he get hurt or will he play inconsistent? We'll see. I think going into this year, the offensive line production he'll get from the Vikings should be a little bit better than when he got from the Cardinals. So he should have more time to throw the ball, in my opinion. And he's got weapons. He's got Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, your guy whose name I'm drawing a blank on right now, the other wide receiver.
Jordan Addison.
Yes, thank you, Jordan Addison. So he's got some weapons to come out here this year too to make something happen. But we'll just see. Man, my thing is, can he stay consistent? But as far as where they'll finish this year, honestly, the top for me is second place, but I could see them finishing as low as fourth. So 2, 3, 4 is where I got them around. If I'm gonna be realistic, I got them honestly around third place, but I could see them going high as second place, then low as fourth. So give me that 2 to 4 range, but realistically, I'm gonna say third place finish for the Vikings. I don't know if I can trust Kyler Murray yet, and then if he goes down, then we got JJ McCarthy coming in, maybe Carson Wentz. I don't know. That quarterback position is still a question mark for me. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Vikings. Brandon, how about you?
Boy, was I wrong on JJ McCarthy last year. If y'all remember, I said he was going to be comeback player of the year because, of course, he missed his entire rookie season. I thought it was going to work out. He had a good, signal caller there. Of course, the head coach who's there, Kevin O'Connell. He came out of Ed's favorite college football team program, University of Michigan. But yeah, it just did not work there. And I thought after the first game where, showed signs of, it was like fair, he had played, few signs of greatness. Well, not greatness, a few signs of hope, I guess you could say. And then it, showed flashes as well that he was basically a rookie, but it just never clicked for him last season. It's bad when Diana Rossini gets pulled over and, she asked the cop who the favorite officer is. And he said he's a Vikings fan, and she was like, "Oh, your quarterback sucks." It's bad. But yeah, I think this Vikings team does though have a pretty good loaded roster, honestly. You talk about Aaron Jones, Jettas, Jordan Addison. They got 2 decent tight ends, TJ Hawkinson and Josh Oliver. They got an all-pro left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, Will Fries at right guard. You go to the defensive side of the ball, the linebacker core is one of the best in the business, in my opinion. Van Ginkel, Cashman, one of those guys I talk about quite often, those white boy linebackers that are really making a name for themselves. Dallas Turner, you mentioned him as well. And then the secondary with Isaiah Rodgers leading the way back there, along with Byron Murphy. But I'm not sleeping on Minnesota. I don't think that they'll finish I got them finishing fourth, but I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow finish above 500 again. Because they really came in on that back half of the season and started making some noise last year, and I think they finished in third last year, just above the Lions. But yeah, the defense will continue to lead the way for this team. We talk about Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, coming back. I think he re-signed another contract after he was skipped over again with 10 plus head coaching vacancies. Doesn't make any sense, but he's back in the saddle as a defense coordinator. So we know everything's going to be legit with this defense. Blake Cashman, I mentioned a few minutes ago. Dallas Turner, you talk about his 8 sacks. Don't forget about his four forced fumbles he had as well last season. Isaiah Rodgers, if it wasn't this past season, it was the season before. I think he had an interception return for a touchdown, as well as a punt return or a fumble return for a touchdown. It was one of the.
That was last season.
Yeah, it was 2 return TDs, and we all was like, wow, he was just having himself a game. It was in the early window as well that day. I think we both had him as our defensive player of the week that game. And then Byron Murphy, I just mentioned as well on the back end. Something to watch. You mentioned it too. Harrison Smith, man, no longer with the team. He was drafted in 2012. I think he's the anchor of this defense for 16 years, give or take, in that range. If he's not the anchor of the defense, he definitely was the anchor of that secondary. A guy that you mentioned that still was playing top-notch football there for that really good Minnesota defense. But yeah, the quarterback uncertainty has me skeptical about this Minnesota team, whether it's going to be Kyler Murray, or if it's going to be JJ McCarthy, or if they have to even get to Carson Wentz, their third string quarterback as it stands, based on injuries, possibility, or poor play. We just never know. But yeah, I got them finishing fourth place. I'm not too confident with this team, but I think they do have a really good roster. So I would not be surprised if they, like last year, all these teams that finish above 500. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow find a winning record at the end of the season.
Yeah, and there was a lot of, I want to say last year there was a lot of hype with JJ McCarthy coming into the second year too. That first year, um, he was dealing with they had Sam Darnold, but they drafted him and they were kind of in training camp raving about him, saying, "Oh, he might beat out Sam Darnold." Then he tore his meniscus and the season over. Sam Darnold kind of took off, led the team to a great record. Going this year, they think, "Oh, he came off because he had a couple of preseason games where he looked all right, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
his rookie year. Coming to the next year, they're like, okay, pretty good in the preseason training camp. Let's throw him out there. Yeah, he was inconsistent, and he dealt with injuries too. So both of those quarterbacks got an injury concern for him.
Okay, everyone. Dan Campbell, of course, he took over the play calling duties last season. The offense started to look like its old self, kind of look like the Ben Johnson days. But Ed, what do you think about the Lions this season?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the game they played against the Commanders last year. They beat us 44-22. Jahmyr Gibbs went crazy. That's probably one of the main games where they're like, yeah, we need to pay that. You see what he did against the Commanders.
Yep.
Jameson Williams, he had himself a great game as well. Let's get into it with the Lions, though. Got a new offensive coordinator. Drew Petzing is coming in, replacing John Morton, who was fired after 1 year. You could, if guys remember, guys and girls remember that not late last season, but last season, the head coach started to take over the play calling. There was a lot going on. Jameson Williams and his production, like there was games where he ain't even touch a damn ball. I know that
Yep.
for a fact because I had Jameson Williams in one of my fantasy teams, and 1 week he would go crazy, and like the next 3 weeks, it's like he wasn't on the field. He would not even get a ball thrown to him. Everybody's wondering like, well, what's going on with this guy? Why he's one of the fastest guys in the league. When he does get the ball in his hand, he produces. Why is he not being targeted more? Now, don't get me wrong. Amon-Ra St. Brown established himself once again as one of the top wide receivers. He had himself a hell of a year, but it was kind of confusing seeing Jameson Williams, his production go up and then super down. He was basically, from a fantasy perspective, a boom or bust type player in the fantasy world where he might boom one game, go for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. The next game, he might as well just be a damn backup player who don't even get to play like that. So we'll see how this offense looks under Drew Petzing. Because he's got the weapons at his disposal. We talk about Jahmyr Gibbs, top 3 running back in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown. They got a really good tight end too, Sam Laporta. I know he dealt with a lot of injuries. I think he tore his ACL, so he didn't play all of last year, but he's back. He should be good to go this year, so I'm expecting to see a lot more of his name being called. Let's talk about some of the subtractions the team did in the offseason. They traded David Montgomery. He's with the Houston Texans now. Taylor Decker is no longer on the team. So we'll see how that offensive line looks out there now without Taylor Decker. He was pretty much one of their best linemen throughout his career. I think he played about 10 years with them. So he's no longer on the team. We'll see how they look without him. And then I'm looking at the defense. That's my main concern with this group right now, honestly. We had Brian Branch, excuse me. He tore his Achilles late in the year, about week 14, December last year. So best case, they're talking about he could come back October. That's the best case scenario. So if he come back October, looking at him missing about 4 or 5 weeks. And then Kirby Joseph, another safety they got, he's currently on the pup list because he's dealing with a knee injury. I think he's got like a bone bruise and some other things going on. And the timetable for his return looks to be a little late too. So that's 2 of your starting safeties out there with a defense, a secondary that wasn't the greatest last year. So that's my main concern with that defense. How are they going to look until they get those guys back. And then even though they'll get them back, how effective will those guys be? Specifically, Brian Branch. He tear Achilles, he might lose a step or two. How he's going to look on his way back out there. Draft pick, it looks like they focus mostly on the defense. They had 7 draft picks. 5 of them were on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll see how those new additions coming in. They got an edge rusher, Derek Moore, out of Michigan. I'm expecting to see a lot of him. And then in the 3rd round, they drafted Jimmy Boulder. He's a linebacker out of Michigan as well. So I always pay attention to the Michigan guys and see how they do. The 1st round, they drafted Blake Miller, offensive tackle. He's going to come in. I'm guessing he'll replace Taylor Ducker. They got Penei Sewell, one of the best linemen out here. They're going to move Penei Sewell, if I'm not mistaken, over to the right tackle position. And then Blake Miller, he's going to come in and take over that left tackle position. So how will the offensive line gel without Taylor Ducker, Penei Sewell going to a different side? I don't have any concerns about Penei Sewell. I think he's one of the best linemen out there, so he'll probably fit in right away. But Blake Miller, he's unproven. He's a rookie coming in. He looks like he's going to be the starter, 1st rounder. So, they're banking on him, but you never know. We saw it last year with the Patriots and the boy Will Campbell. He came in and he was getting his lunch taken a lot. So we'll see how that offensive line looks with the kind of new additions out there. And they got a new center too, Cade Mays, I believe. He's coming in as well. So little, chemistry. I'm wondering how the offensive line would gel, but Penei Sewell, he'll be the anchor. I'm sure he'll get those guys going. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think without David Montgomery, you're going to see how good he really is. They did bring in Isaiah Pacheco. I'm sure he'll have like a 3rd down back tackle role, but I don't think Jahmyr Gibbs will miss a beat without his boy David Montgomery there. I think he'll produce even more without him. Just hopefully there's no injuries. Now, Jared Goff, I like him. He's one of those guys, in my opinion, like regular season, I don't got a problem with, is the playoffs where it seems to be his issue. He did make it to a Super Bowl. They did lose, and he didn't really play well against the Patriots when he was with the Rams. But I don't know if I can trust Jared Goff to lead my team all the way to the Super Bowl. He is a veteran, though. Maybe as these years goes on, he gets a little better and he can do some things. But as far as the Lions go, I could see them finishing. I said the same thing for the Vikings, finishing between 2 and 4. I think the Lions, worst case, they'll be 3rd place, and they can finish as high as 2nd. You know what? Give me the Vikings. I'm gonna agree with you. I got the Vikings in 4th. Give me the Lions in 3rd because I think that defense. I don't know, man. I think that defense is gonna be an issue, especially that first part of the season where Brian Branch is gone. Kirby Joseph, who knows if he's even going to play the first part of the season. That secondary might have an issue. I do like the D line with Aiden Hutchinson, but I don't know. That defense kind of scares me, concerns me. So I got the Lions right now finishing 3rd place because that defense, I don't know if I can really trust it. Brandon, what are your thoughts on the Lions this year?
Yeah, I like the Lions, honestly. I like Jared Goff. I think he's accurate quarterback. I think he's going to get back to some of that accuracy that he had a couple years ago when they were one of the top teams in the NFL and definitely the NFC. There are some concerns on this roster. The offensive line, you mentioned they've lost some guys gone to retirement. They had one of the better offensive lines. They've lost 2 key starters over the last couple off seasons. I know one of them was kind of surprising. I think it was the first one, not this offseason, the last year, 2025, summer of that time when the guy retired. I can't remember his name. Another concern, who's going to create some pressure next to Aiden Hutchinson? He had 14.5 sacks last year. The next closest we had was DJ Wonnum. He had 3. So that's a huge drop-off. Huge drop off there for them in the production standpoint of that defensive line. And then also who steps up in the place of Alex Anzalone. He was one of the guys that when you watch Lions games, they were always talking about him a lot. They said like it's one of Dan Campbell's favorite guys, one of the better players on that defense. He's now gone, left in free agency. who is going to take his spot will be something to watch as well. But I got two guys that I'll be watching a lot when I do happen to watch the Lions. Wide receiver Isaac Tesla. He only had 16 receptions last year, but he had 6 touchdowns. And if y'all remember, a lot of those touchdowns were in the middle of the end zone. So he wasn't afraid to get hit. He took a lot of hits on those touchdowns. So he's a physical guy. And I think he can make up for like some of the end zone presence that, someone, a smaller guy like Jameson Williams doesn't have. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to necessarily send JMO across the middle. Ross St. Brown can go across the middle, but JMO, he's a little bit smaller. He's more that stretch the field type guy, take it and run into the end zone, burn somebody out. So I'll be watching Tesla this year, as well as Jack Campbell on the defensive side. 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 89 tackles last season. He's one of the better linebackers in the league as well. But I think defensive coordinator, sticking on that side, Kelvin Shepard, I think he'll start to come into his own this season. He was, he's been a guy of focus the last couple of years because I think that, the Lions have been in the runnings recently anyway. For the most part, his guys are healthy besides the 2 safeties that you mentioned, but they do have Chuck Clark back there that can fill in for Kirby Joseph. Vontae Maddox, not too sure about him, but we'll see how long Branch and Joseph is going to be out. But when it's all said and done, I think Calvin Shepard should at least get some head coaching interviews as well this coming off season or this coming coaching carousel late in the year around January, February of next year. Dan Campbell, I think he'll start to mature as a head coach. And y'all may be looking at me with a frown on your face right now, but we saw early on where it was like Dan Campbell, he was always going for it on 4th down. That gutsy play caller, not really calling plays at that time. He was under, Ben Johnson was calling plays there, but he always made that decision to go for it on 4th down, sometimes in their own territory. Sometimes it worked, obviously, sometimes it didn't. And then last year, of course, the offense got off to a little bit of a slower start. He took over the play calling duties, and things started to look better. So I think in this coming year, we'll see it all level out, and we'll see him still be that fiery type guy. But I think it'll benefit this team and this roster overall throughout the season. But yeah, I think they got a favorable start to the season. They got games against the Jets and the Cardinals in their first handful of games. They got an early bye week, if I'm not mistaken. I think they'll be stronger. I do again really like this roster. I think Jared Goff's going to get back to some of that accuracy. Of course, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's going to be the main guy there, and he's capable. We all know that. They got Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the league. Amon-Ra St. Brown, you're really high on him. J-Mo can stretch the field. Tesla, I just mentioned. The offensive line got a few guys up there, Penei Sewell, that can do their thing, and they got pretty good linebacker core as well. And if that secondary can get healthy fast, I think this Lions team can win the NFC North. Call me crazy, but I really do like them to get back into it, to get back into those winning ways that they had before under Dan Campbell a couple years ago, and of course Ben Johnson, because this roster isn't much different. A lot of those guys are still there that was on that team before, so they got a winning pedigree. It's just that health was a big issue last year. The offense starting slow was another issue as well. So yeah, I think the Lions, I'm gonna pick them to win the NFC North.
Gotcha. I'm low key kind of surprised with what you said about Dan Campbell, because I know last year you gave it to him a couple of times, and then we both said he got our coach against the Vikings
Yeah.
at the end of the year. So okay.
That's why I feel like he's gonna start to settle down into what he should be, because he's made his mistakes. He had his times where he was on his high, where he was just going out there being the ballsiest head coach in football, going on 4th down damn near every play, every time, every chance they got. To this coming year, this past year, having the smarts to take over offensive play calling duties. I'm not sure if he's calling plays or not this year. I'm pretty sure he's still going to keep that. You may know, but yeah, I think he will start to settle into a decent, more mature head coach than what he has been.
Gotcha. All right, everybody. Let's get into it. This episode is brought to you by Premium, a CBD health and wellness company. Check out their line of CBD infused products, which are a perfect after workout refuel for athletes, a pain reliever for weekend warriors, and even a natural sports drink for us armchair quarterbacks. Their featured product is CBD infused honey, which is a personal favorite of mine, as well as tinctures and mint and natural flavors. They are veteran, women, and minority owned, so come get some of this sweet temptation Taste a premium difference. Use code B and E for 15% off your order. Their website is premium.com. And now let's get back to our show. Getting to the Chicago Bears next team I'm very interested in. Brandon, curious to hear your thoughts on the Bears. How you got them doing this year?
Top priorities for this team, y'all. Play better on defense, stop the run better, limit big plays on the defensive side. I talked about it our last show. One of their defenders went out to somewhere in the AFC East, if I'm not mistaken, and he had, I think, 8 interceptions, something like that. They created turnovers with Chicago, okay, but they could not stop anybody for the most part. They were one of the worst defenses in the league. Were giving up big plays, giving up a lot of yards, stuff like that. That's why we always saw the offense look so much better in the fourth quarter, because they had to come from behind, because they was already in the hole at that point. That's why they won so many games. Those close games, fourth quarter overtime comebacks for the Chicago Bears team. So they got to be able to play better on defense, number one. And number two, improve that passing game on the offensive side of the ball as well. We saw how well they were able to run the ball last year. Swift and Monangai really came into their own for this Chicago Bears team. I think they was number 1 or 2 ranked rushing attack there for several weeks. Remember the Black Friday game against Philadelphia? I think it was in Philly. They ran all over Philadelphia. So we know they can run the ball. They got to be able to balance it out and not necessarily rely on Caleb Williams. And it may be some of, his game is best out of the pocket and stuff, but be able to rely on Caleb Williams inside the pocket to make plays. You talk about a lot how many times he used to use his legs, and he was so much better on the run. Let's see if he can develop into a little bit more of a pocket passer and improve this passing game on offense. I think those things got to improve for Chicago to improve this coming year for them to compete. Again, because all those come from behind wins, they don't usually go back-to-back seasons like that. You know what I'm saying? We usually see a team each year have several come from behind wins, and then the following season they kind of drop off. Teams start to catch on, things change, players move, all that kind of stuff, and they're not usually the same as far as that come from behind aspect for the second year in a row. Offensively, I love the running backs, Swift and Monangai. Rome Odunze, he's a physical threat. I think he'll continue to get better. Right tackle Darnell Wright, he's one of the best tackles in football, probably the best right tackle in football. Really came on to him last year. The entire offensive line is solid, though, in my opinion. Expect a lot of 12 personnel with this offense. That's the 2 tight ends and the running backs, because, of course, they got Colson Loveland, the second-year guy, and who's the second tight end? Cole Kmet. I should know that off the top of my head. But a lot of teams last year, specifically the Rams, ran a lot of that 12 and 13 personnel, and it was successful for them. So I expect the same from Chicago as well, in the fact of they also lost DJ Moore. So they got to be able to make up for some of that production. So they may not they may not all necessarily rely on the wide receivers to take some of his production, or, get some of his reps and production. They may rely on those 2 tight ends as well. Defensively, continue to create turnovers. That's what they did best last year. I do though think Dennis Allen is on the hot seat as defense coordinator, because if they play as bad as they did last year on the defensive side of the ball, he may be gone. They drafted a rookie safety, Dylan Steinman. I believe he was out of Oregon. I think he'll be relied on heavily. He'll be one of probably the most first-round picks that is going to be really going to have to step in from day one and start and have high expectations, because of how bad they were in the secondary and on the defensive side of the ball last year. Can he step up and be someone like an Adam Archuleta, who anchored that back in the defense for several years for them, and of course the Rams? And I think he spent time with the Commanders as well, but can he be someone like that? And then I do also like the Kobe Bryant addition as well. I believe he came over from Seattle there to play corner for the Chicago Bears. But yeah, Chicago had a lot of luck last year. Again, I mentioned those come from behind wins. They don't usually go into the next season. They got 6 nationally televised games this year, and they're all against pretty good teams. Home for Philly, home for New England, at Seattle, at Detroit. That's Thanksgiving Day, at Buffalo, and against Green Bay. With that, though, I got them finishing second place in the NFC North. I think they'll drop back just a little bit um, to sit behind the Detroit Lions there in the NFC North. Ed, your thoughts?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions with the Bears. First, let me just say this. They beat the Commanders to 25-24 last year. That wasn't too bad. They got us back. We gave them that Hail Mary game. Heartbreaker for them. They come back and beat us last year 25-24. I don't think we played them this year. Thank God. I'm tired of seeing DeAndre Swift turn to Walt Payton and the other great Bears running back that they got. But let's get into the Bears, y'all. My first question, they got a new offensive coordinator coming in, Press Taylor. As we know, Declan Doyle was the coordinator last year. He left. He's with the Baltimore Ravens now. So how will the offense look? I'm guessing it'll be okay. He was their pass game coordinator last year, so the transition could be smooth. I think the addition, not the addition, but Ben Johnson and him will, make things work there. That's my first question, just how the offense will look with a new offensive coordinator, and if there will be any hiccups going into this third year for Caleb Williams. Second question, kind of not too concerned, but kind of concerned with the offensive line. Drew Dalman, their center, he retired this offseason. He was a Pro Bowler, so he's a pretty good center. They brought in Garrett Bradbury. So how will the line gel with him? They do have one of the best guards in the league, Joe Tooney. So I don't expect there to be like the line is to be hogwash or anything like that. But I am wondering, okay, you lose one piece, and he was a pretty good piece in Drew Dalman, center Pro Bowler. They got to communicate everything like that. The one with the quarterback. So I'm wondering if there will be any setbacks going in this season with Garrett Berry leading the charge. And then the defense, particularly the defensive line. Who's going to be that guy who's like the dominant rusher, edge rusher, D lineman, whatever you would call it? Could it be Montez Sweat? We'll see. They did bring in Devin White. Like that addition as well. Good veteran guy. Like you mentioned, they did bring in Kobe Bryant too. Fortunately, he got hurt in training camp. I want to say last week, and it was like a bone bruise. So they're saying he can miss like the first part of the season. So even though they did sign him, he was on like a 3-year, $40 million deal. He could potentially be missing a lot of time. So I'm wondering how that's going to affect this defense. Like you mentioned, they did their first round pick get Dylan Tyman Tinneman, safety out of Oregon. So he could potentially come in and fill that void, but he's a rookie, so we don't really know what he's going to do. I think that Kobe Bryant injury could potentially hurt that defense. Other than that, though, man, Ben Johnson came in this last year, and you saw the improvement he got out of Caleb Williams compared to what he was dealing with the year before with the guy who's in Kansas City now. I think going into this year, they're going to be even better. They got another year, another off season to work things out, figure out what they like to do, what they don't like to do. Honestly, I can see them finishing first and winning this division again. Like you mentioned, those running backs. I talk about it every time they play the damn Commanders. They get even more better. But those running backs, Swift, a Manon guy, he really showed me some things last year too. I was thinking like, dang, they might have a thing like last year, how the Lions had Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. They might have that same type of situation with DeAndre Swift and Monangai. So I'm going to be curious to see how that running game looks. I think it'll still be good. I was kind of surprised that DJ Moore is gone, but I'm guessing they're banking on Roman Dunze to play even better, and then Luther Burton coming into his second year to fill that void. And we saw in the playoff game, Colston Loveland, he really was out there like doing his thing that tight end. So I'm expecting another leap from him his rookie year. And as you mentioned, Cole Kmet, a good veteran tight end coming in. So this offense still gonna have a bunch of weapons. And I think Caleb Williams is gonna be even better this year with Ben Johnson going to his second year. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't wait until Bears play Green Bay again because I'm just curious to see how Ben Johnson is going to act. If he's going to even shake hands with the other team, or is he just going to run off the field, or because that's the rivalry again, the Bears
Yeah.
and the Packers. Everybody, if y'all remember last year, Ben Johnson made it known he wasn't fucking with the Packers like that, or LaFleur. So I can't wait for them two teams to play each other. But yeah, man, I think honestly, I think Caleb Williams might be the best quarterback in this division, man. Some of the throws he made last year were just incredible. On the run, of course, but he was throwing lasers, he was throwing darts, however you want to call it out there. I think he'll be even better this year with another year under Ben Johnson. I think Press Taylor, since he was his pass game coordinator last year, I think that transition to offensive coordinator, him and Caleb getting together, I think will be good too. So I'm right now. I'm gonna say the Bears are gonna repeat and win the NFC North this year, but we'll see how it goes. But I give me the Bears to win this division right now.
Okay. Turning our attention, everyone, to the Packers. Micah Parsons, he's out for a while. Multiple receivers are gone. New defensive coordinator up there in Green Bay. I got 3 words for them. Gotta prove it. Okay. 1, can they win a game without Micah Parsons? They were winless last year when he went down. Defense definitely looked different as well. Just could not get in that win column for the remainder of the season without him there. Still got into the playoffs, but didn't win a game without him. Number 2, can they beat the Bears again? You just talked about it when you was talking about the Bears, that rivalry. It is back. They led in all 3 of those games last year and went on to lose all 3 as well. Swept during the regular season, of course, the 2 games, the divisional games, also lost against them in the playoffs as well. Again, all 3 of those games were great games. Kind of remind me of Ravens Steelers for the most part, just a little bit more high scoring between those 2 teams there. Green Bay expressed some confidence, though, in their coach and GM. If I remember correctly, they extended Mike LaFleur this offseason, and as well as the general manager, if I'm not mistaken. So that does show some confidence in them. But biggest question mark outside of, can they win without Micah is, will Tucker Kraft come back 100%? This guy was the offense there the first couple weeks. You saw it against the Commanders. I'm sorry, Ed, where he had a career game. Okay, a career game against the Ed's team there on national TV. If so, if he can come back 100%, even 90%, I think that offense goes through him and Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, though, I think if I remember correctly as well, he's dealing with some off the field, stuff. So we'll see if that impacts him as well. But I'm not too sure about the secondary. Turning my attention to defense outside of Xavier McKinney and Nixon. For the most part, they may struggle on the back end there in that secondary. But yeah, I think Green Bay will finish 3rd place in the NFC North. I think the Bears and the Lions are ahead of them. Give me a 3rd place finish for Green Bay. And then real quick before I turn it to you, Ed, I think a lot of pressure is on Jordan Love this year too. We've seen flashes. We've seen moments where he was one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and then we saw moments like, I think it was against the Browns, where he scrambled all the way out to the left, had a little pressure in his face. He throws it all the way back to the right side of the end zone, and it damn near got picked off. That either would have been a big interception return or a pick 6. It was just a mind-scratching play. I think it was both of our bonehead play of the week for that week there. So Jordan Love, a lot of pressures on him, in my opinion, to continue to make progress instead of regression. So we'll see how it goes for him. But yeah, give me a 3rd place finish for Green Bay Packers this year. How about you?
Yeah. First off, Packers beat the Commanders 27-18. As Brandon mentioned, Tucker Kraft, that was the game where I was like, yeah, Bobby Wagner, it's time to go home. They also, which was a surprise to me, because I was going into the year thinking that the cornerback we got last year, whose name I don't even want to mention, not the guy from the Saints, but they was picking on him as soon as the game started. He was like, okay, where's he at? And they throwing the right out. Oh my goodness, is he chopped liver already? We only in week 2. We got 15 more damn weeks to go. And oh my God, Lord have mercy. But okay, yeah, they beat the Commanders too. As I said, NFC North swept the damn Commanders. So let me get into the Packers. As you mentioned, Jonathan Gannon is a new defense coordinator. how's that defense going to look with him? We can see the Packers, I think, being a little bit more disguise heavy, kind of like the Vikings a little bit. Maybe using 2 high safety shells, things of that nature. But as you mentioned, how's the defense going to look until Michael Parsons gets back? Can Luka Van Ness create pass rush? Can he get some sacks out there? He did come back last year off of his own ACL injury, so I'm expecting him to come in this year a little bit more healthy. Just another year removed from that ACL injury, so he should be a little bit better. They also got a new special teams coordinator, Cam Accord, previously coached with New England and the Giants. So we'll see if there's any improvement with that special teams now that he's in the fold. Then they brought in, I mentioned with the Vikings, they brought in Javon Hargrave. I really like that they picked up Zaire Franklin, former Pro Bowl, all pro, excuse me. He played with the Colts previous year. So I think those 2 additions could be a really good benefit for the defense. They got Benjamin St. Juste. He's going to boost the secondary. He played with the Commanders, and it looked like he couldn't even guard the practice squad players with the Commanders. So, I mean, hopefully he coming over to the Packers and, the whole team could, kind of hide his deficiencies. He won't be too bad. I think he was with he wasn't with the Rams. I was thinking of Forbes. But, hopefully that addition works out for him, but I'm not too sure. But you mentioned the big thing for me, Jordan Love. Can he bring it all together? You talked about the Browns game. I want to say they played the Panthers too, and he has some weird moments in that game, but he can be up and down. Where it's like one game he throws an incredible throw, he throws on a run. He's kind of mobile too. He can run the ball, and then as you mentioned, the game against the Browns, he's doing stuff is like you taking over for him and you trying to lose, and he's doing this type of stuff where he's throwing it. He's trying to either take a sack or throw it where he's getting hit, and the ball just goes up in the air. And y'all playing jackpot. Whoever gets it, gets it. So Jordan Love bring it all together. I am curious to see, Dontavian Wicks. He got traded to the Eagles. As we all know, Romeo Dobbs. He's with the Patriots now. Christian Watson, I think, is a true number 1, but
Yeah.
I talked about Jaden Reed all the time. I think he's Debo Samuel 2.0. He's been dealing with injuries. That type of play style he plays with him and Debo, where they, take the contact and keep going. Eventually, that's going to catch up to you. It looks like it's starting to catch up to Jaden Reed. Is he going to be able to play healthy? And then Matthew Golden, although his rookie year wasn't exactly, great, the playoffs he did play a little bit better. So I'm expecting him going into his second year, Matthew Golden, to be a little bit better. But can this wide receiver core step up now that they have a few players lead the team for other places, other destinations? They did bring in Sky Moore as well. He played the Chiefs. He's more of a speedster type. You might see him more in special teams. I don't know, like a return specialist, but can he provide value as a wide receiver, another weapon for Jordan Love? We'll see. Jordan Love and Tucker Craft, they did say Tucker Craft, he's not on the pup list or anything like that. So he should be coming this season expected to play, but we all know that first year off an ACL injury, major injury like that, a lot of guys don't just come back and fill those shoes right away. He might be a little rusty coming this season. He might not find his true form until the middle of the season or late in the season. Hell, he might not find his true form until the next year. How is Tucker Craft going to look going into a year coming off an ACL injury? I'm curious to see that. Looking at their draft picks, they got a cornerback in the second round, Brandon Sizey. I don't know how to say his name. I'll figure it out. Excuse me for mispronouncing your name, sir, if I did. Because their cornerback, their secondary was kind of shaky last year. They're bringing him in along with who they already have. So we'll see how that looks. And then Rashawn Gary, he's gone. I think he's with the Cowboys now. And then Quay Walker, crazy ass, he's no longer on the team too. He did play well, but he was just a damn head case. Doing crazy stuff. I think he like pushed a referee or something, losing his damn mind sometimes. So, but when he did play, you saw him making plays out there. So those 2 subtractions, I wonder how that's going to affect the defense too. I'm thinking Jonathan Gannon can come in because he is, he does know his things on defense. Even though it didn't really work out too well with the Cardinals, I think he will come in and have this bunch playing well. I think they're going to be okay. They're going to hold the line until Michael comes back. I think I feel like Michael gonna come back around October because he tore his ACL week 14 too. That's a December time frame. So I'm thinking he'll come back around October. So he might miss the first 4 to 5, maybe 6 weeks around that 7, 8, 9, 10 range. We'll see if he'll come back, and then that defense will start to get back on how they work. Because week 2, them boys was flying after Jaden Daniels. I keep bringing up the damn Commanders, but they was flying after Jaden Daniels, flipping them on his damn head. That's the game I think he hurt his knee in that second week. So that was a Thursday night game too. Ugh, bad memories of that one. But all in all, I have the Packers finishing second in this division. I think talent wise, Jordan Love is the second best quarterback in this division. If he can put it all together, use his weapons, not turn the damn ball over, not make any dumb plays, which is easier said than done. Give me a second place finish for the Packers. Hopefully, Josh Jacobs, he can stay healthy too. I know he started dealing with injuries late in the season last year, and he's starting to get up in age as far as a running back. So my concern about his injuries up there. But if all goes well for them, I can see them finishing second and getting into the playoffs as well. So yeah, give me a second place finish for the Green Bay Packers out there.
Real quick, I know we touched on it in the early this off season when it was announced, but of course, tomorrow, Saturday, August 8th, is the Pro Football Hall of Fame Class 2026 induction ceremony. We've got Drew Brees getting in, Roger Craig, the running back, Larry Fitzgerald, Luke Kuechly, and the kicker, Adam Vinatieri, multi Super Bowl winning kicker there, of course, for the Patriots and the Colts. Just going to touch base on them real quick. Drew Brees, probably one of my top 10 quarterbacks to watch. Definitely, I think a top 10, top 15 quarterback for his height. Everybody talked about for several years, man. Drew Brees, 6 foot on the nose, pretty much. But out there slicing and dicing, man, one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, had one of the best offenses in the league for several years. Him and Sean Payton, those guys down there, Devery Henderson, all those people, those great players down there for years. Roger Craig, I don't remember him too much, so I'm not going to talk about him. But I've seen the highlights, of course. Larry Fitzgerald, sure hands, seemed like a guy that didn't talk much on the field, but just got it done. Luke Kuechly, one of the best linebackers in football there for the 8 seasons I think he played. It wasn't very long, and he got on out of there, and not a season where it was pretty much him leading the team in tackles, making his presence known, going to Pro Bowls, all that kind of stuff. And of course, Adam Vinatieri, everybody thinks about that tuck rule game in the snow there against the Raiders in New England, and he kicked that field goal 40 some yards, and you really couldn't see it. You watch the highlights of it, but I think about all the other kicks he had, of course, in the Super Bowl, playing for 2 different teams. Just probably one of the best kickers in NFL history, and that's why he's getting the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you have any comments on any of these guys, Ed.
Yeah, it's always cool to see older generation players get in the Hall of Fame. Speaking of Roger Craig, he's like one of only 3 players who got 1,000-yard rushing and 1,000-yard receiver in the same season playing with San Francisco. Teammate of Jerry Rice. So salute to him. I remember when they first announced, it was like late in the season last year, they were talking about him making it, and they did a profile of him. I was like, okay, I heard his name before, but I never really knew about him. So once they did that profile of him, I was like, man, that's really cool. And salute to him. Like I said, it's always cool to see older generation guys finally get in the Hall of Fame. Drew Brees, yeah, I'm right with you, man. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. I know the Dolphins are kicking themselves. They had a chance to sign him. Chargers played with him. He had that, I think it was a shoulder issue. Basically, medical staff
went off the field like this.
Yeah, he couldn't play anymore. That shoulder won't be the same. New Orleans, the coaching staff, Sean Payton, the owner, they all were like, hey, man, we doing this for you, man. Come over here. And, the rest wrote itself. He came in specifically after Hurricane Katrina, got that city, that region, the Super Bowl. He's beloved out there. They say he can walk around and nobody will mess with him. nobody would try to touch him. Unofficial mayor of the city, things like that. So salute to Drew Brees on his career. Larry Fitzgerald, man, I wish he won that Super Bowl against the Steelers. Him, Kurt Warner, them boys. I was really rooting for them. I was so pissed they didn't get to win that game. So I'm glad to see him going. Luke Kuechly, I think it was concussions that kind of made his career short, but he was a hell of a linebacker. Dissect plays, know what's happening, and he was a heat-seeking missile coming after you. I know him and Cam Newton were really good teammates out there too. Then Adam Vinatieri, you mentioned that damn Tucker. I was just thinking, because I used to hate the damn Patriots back in the day. I was disgusted when they won that game against the Raiders and all that. I was a real big Charles Woodson fan too, Michigan guy, things of that nature. So I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. And lo and behold, they had a freaking dynasty. And then he went over to the Colts, didn't he?
Indianapolis won a Super Bowl too.
Yeah, extended his career with the Colts as well. So one of the best kickers of all time. Pretty sure he had a really strong leg too. So salute to all the guys who got in the Hall of Fame. Definitely a special shout out for Roger Craig, as I said, man. The older guys get in. A lot of times they might not get into, after they pass away, unfortunately. But he's getting his due. He's getting his credit while he's still alive, and I'm happy to see him. And I'm gonna try to catch some of it. I know it's gonna be emotional for a lot of guys. Larry Fitzgerald is gonna be emotional for him, losing his father and everything. But yeah, man, salute to those guys getting in the Hall of Fame. Congrats to everybody who made it.
Yeah, one more point before we go. Last night, Thursday night, was the first preseason game, but I'm going to talk about the NBC crew. My guy Mike Tomlin. I love me some Mike Tomlin. Besides when he doing the against the Ravens, he's made his debut on the pregame show of Thursday night in Football in America, Sunday Night in America, whatever they call it, alongside Jason Garrett and Jason McCourty. I believe it's Jason. If not, it's Devin, because they twins, obviously, and Maria Taylor. A little bit different. Yeah, your girl. A little bit odd to see Mike Tomlin on TV. Of course, they touch base on the Steelers organization and all the other topics, headlines heading into the season. Gonna miss Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison. Like I texted you, I think part of the reason why Rodney isn't back is because he froze in one of those late game. It was a cold game. He froze and lost his train of thought, and was making rounds on social media that night. The next day, what's up with Rodney Harrison, this and that, and I don't know if they voided the contract, got just let him go, or his contract was up. But either way, he's not there anymore. And for whatever reason, Tony Dungy is not there. But I feel like Tony Dungy, they said former teammate, but I thought he was sticking around. But anyway, got a whole new crew there. So look forward to watching Mike Tomlin this season, as opposed to going against him. And I hope the Steelers, for the first time in 18, 19 years, go under 500 this year for letting him go, and they realize real quick, why they shouldn't have let him go. Because even Chris Collinsworth and who's the Mike Tirico, they was like, it's good to have him on the set, good to have him on the team, but teams should be coming after him next year. And then they showed him, just sitting at the desk because they was doing the main broadcast at that time, and they was like, "Well, we don't want you to go nowhere, but you should definitely be a candidate for some head coaching position." So yeah, shout out to NBC and their new crew there. That'll be doing Sunday Night Football this coming season.
Yeah, I didn't see all of the game. I missed the first half because I was out and about. I saw the second half.
Yep.
And I was watching Mike Tomlin. He looked pretty good out there, like
he did
between the crew, and he looked like a natural out there. So I could definitely see if he wanted to have a future in television, if he wanted to. But we'll see if he gets that coaching bug or not again. I did see a kind of a cool segment. They had like the ice bucket water challenge.
Oh yeah.
Chris Johnson dealing with his ALS. And I'm guessing the guy who put the ice bucket on Mike Tomlin was a Steelers fan, because it looked like he purposely missed him with the ice bucket. He got like a bit of his shoulder, but a lot of it like didn't even touch. I'm like, that dude like a Steelers fan or something? Like, damn, everybody else got majority of the ice bucket on him, but by the time he got like some of his shoulder, maybe he got the back part, but from where I was, the angle I saw in the front view, it didn't look like a lot of it got on us. So I was like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, that game itself, Panthers and Cardinals, it was cool to see a lot of the Cardinals wearing that number 11
Yep.
for Larry Fitzgerald. And the game itself was good too. You was talking
It
about
was.
Carson Beck. When I was driving, I did hear a little bit of the game on the radio and heard him throw a touchdown, and the announcers were raving about him. So we'll see how if he can get an opportunity to play next season. But the end of the game, that was cool too. Panthers won it off the quarterback scramble at the goal line, and they kind of ran off the field together. Kind of like a Rudy moment for the quarterback who won it. King or something is his name. Rookie quarterback.
Yeah, King, I think.
Bryce Young, you see him hopping up and down on the sideline when he was making plays. So, yeah, glad that we got a little bit of football back, and let's keep it going, y'all.
Yeah, Carson Beck did good to piggyback off that, but like I said, it was against 2s and 3s, so we got to wait and see, if he gets more preseason snaps, how he looks. And of course, Jacoby Brissett is likely the starter, but again, I mentioned to you via text that if they lose a few games, the offense ain't going that good. I could see LaFleur making that switch sooner because he got the younger guy that he could probably groom into what he wants to be until or if they draft a quarterback next year, which they likely will be in the running for one of those top quarterbacks next year. But one more thing on Mike Tomlin, man, that guy's smart, man. You know it. I mean, watching him in the pregame, he was just spilling it like words just rolling off the tongue, like he'd been in the business for years. Like he definitely knows this sport. He knows the players. He's going to be just fine there. But yeah, I'd like to see him coaching again, just not the AFC North and just not with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. And I got to deal with another season. Chris Collinsworth as the commentator. I turned the game on. I heard his voice. Oh Lord, I ain't got nothing against Chris Collinsworth. I think he's a great guy. Just commentating wise, he get on my damn nerves.
Him and Kirk Herbstreit, I don't like him either. He annoying too. I had him on for a very short time last night. I had the game on, but I was watching a show. One of my favorite shows was on for the first hour of the game, so I didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, unfortunately, I think we got 1 or 2 Sunday night football games this year. I got to listen to him, or at least have it on. You know what I'm saying? We got a really good radio announcer now again. So I may just do what I normally do and just mute it and listen to the broadcast and just have the TV on, of course, to see the plays. But instead of having to listen to Collinsworth, so I have, our radio guy plus Rod Woodson, of course, former Raven, as opposed to Chris Collinsworth. Don't get me wrong, Rico's the man.
Yeah.
So Rico's smooth with it now. But they got to find somebody else to take Collinsworth's spot.
Unfortunately, I think he's going to be there for a long time.
Yep. All right, everyone. We've got plenty more divisional previews to come. Sticking with the NFC, on Monday's show, we'll reveal which division that is on Monday, so be sure to tune into that. Meantime, please take a moment, hit the subscribe button on your screen. We would love if you follow us on Twitter, formerly known as Twitter X now, at Podcast B&E, and on IG at B&E Podcast. Again, we'll be back on Monday for another NFC divisional breakdown. And until then, love one another.